Hi, it's Bumble. Welcome back to my channel. So, a couple, like a week ago or so, I was binging a bunch of movies, but then I wasn't making any movie reviews of them. I think what's kind of helped me with having a new channel is like I used to make a movie review for like every movie I watched to the point where I think it was kind of influencing like what movies I was prioritizing over others in terms of watching. And now I'm realizing, like, yeah, I don't have to make movie reviews of anything, but it is fun. I like to make movie reviews for movies where I do have a lot of thoughts in them, or there's something in the movie where I'm like, this is cool, I want to talk about it, or whatever. But I feel like I don't have to do that for every movie I watch, which is kind of nice. Like, sometimes I do just want to, like, watch a movie for fun and then not give, like, commentary about it afterwards. This is one that I had, like, meant to watch for a while, the Dungeons and Dragons movie, because I heard it was pretty good. You know how sometimes they'll, like, adapt something really popular and then sometimes they screw it up. I had assumed this was going to be one with like, you know, like Marvel type quips and whatever, almost kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy kind of vibe. I mean, like a teeny bit, but I mean, I think every movie for me after that is going to have that kind of vibe. But no, people were right. This one's actually good. That's why I wanted to. It wasn't like I wanted to give it a chance. It was that I actually wanted to watch it because I heard like, oh hey, people said it like actually turned out to be pretty good, and I enjoyed it. Like, I myself don't really know a ton about Dungeons and Dragons. Like, I tried playing it a couple times with friends, and like I couldn't really get into it. I don't know. I'm like a very visual person. I know there's like minifigures and like people build like, you know, like to make it as visual as possible, like it's in your face and the models and everything. I mean, I wasn't really using that a ton with my friends, but like, I feel like that still kind of wasn't helping. I think what also just, I don't know, the part of it that like wasn't my thing either is like I was having trouble picturing things, and it's like you have to like get into character as your character, and I'm like kind of bad with that stuff. I mean, if it was like writing or something, then it would be easier. Like, I've written my own fictional stories, and then it's like when it's like my own characters and where like I know everything that's going on, it's like I'm into it, you know. But it's like me role playing as a character. I like can't role play to save my life, and I don't know. I find it slightly stressful. So it's like D&D kind of hasn't really been my thing, but I do think it's cool as like a concept. And it's just like all my friends are super into it, and like my brother's like really into, well, not specifically D&D, but like tabletop games and stuff. So I've always felt kind of left out, but I thought like, okay, this movie, I feel like this movie kind of confirmed it for me, where it's like personally, where it's like me playing it isn't my thing, but like the vibe of it and everything with it is still fun and something I sort of like. Because like with these being its own like characters and everything and stuff, and it functions as like a movie, I felt it was more like digestible and more like easy for me to get into. I don't know. So there's probably like a lot of references and other things in this movie that I'm not gonna like get. You know, I'm just gonna state that at the very start. There's probably like things going over my head or whatever, but it was cool. I wasn't originally gonna take notes for this. Actually, I take notes on my phone sometimes when I watch movies, but then I got to this part where they find this wand that's called like the hither wither stick or whatever, and it makes portals. It functions like the game Portals, where it makes two portals that connect to each other, and one of them is, well, they're both blue, so it's not the blue and orange thing, but they make a similar sound to like when you fire the portal gun in Portal, and they function like Portal. And I'm like, okay, this is what I wrote. That's fucking Portal, bro, in my notes. And then from there, I'm like, okay, I need to. It was more of like, I want to talk about that specifically. Screw it. Let me just make a video talking about the entire movie at that point. But yeah, it was. I don't have notes for like everything, but that's okay. I'll just kind of go off of my notes. I started taking notes around there, but then I was writing about other things. I feel like this movie was like kind of as stereotypical as I thought it would be. I mean, then again, I'm saying as like I've never really played D&D, so I guess what I mean by that comment is like I hear things about the game from like people playing it themselves, where they come up with all these like wacky characters, but more so of these like, you know, you have to like roll the dice for the initiative stuff, and it depends on like if you get into things or not and whatever, and all the wacky things that people do in the game. And then this being like these very, I don't know, like standard characters. Like, they're fun and everything, but I don't know, it just kind of like a stereotypical vibe. More so of like I'm watching an action movie of like a group of misfits of like the kinds I've watched before. And I'm not just specifically saying like Guardians of the Galaxy or stuff. Like the main character being this like very goofy guy, and then he has the backstory I like pretty much where he's like being goofy to hide his sadness, basically, of like, oh yeah, he lost his wife. And I don't know why that always feels like standard backstory for characters like this. And he's advertised as a bard too. Like in every poster he has his lute, but he doesn't really play it much. He's not very musical. I mean, he does sing and he just plays lute. I do think that Chris Pine, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Chris Pine. I feel like he should sing more. I'm not used to like seeing him as himself. It always throws me off because I'm so used to him in Rise of the Guardians. I don't know, man. It's like him performing as Jack Frost is probably my favorite role from him. So seeing his actual face just kind of like throws me off. I don't know. Yeah, I thought bards, aren't they supposed to have like, isn't it like music magic, or it's supposed to do something? Like he plays the lute and sings sometimes, but it kind of feels more like a hobby to him. Like he didn't start off as a musician. His whole backstory is like being like a knight basically, and then he becomes a thief, and he sort of plays music on the side, but like his music, like playing his flute or singing or anything, it doesn't like do anything. Like the one time it's actually sort of helpful in the adventure is when he's trying to do a distraction, and even then it's like it was like a copy of himself or whatever. So that was kind of a bummer, because I mean they do advertise him as like this charming bard and stuff, and he's, I don't know, he's like the guy that plans stuff. He's like the typical leader of the group. Like he's cool, but I don't know what else. I also forget like character names a lot. I didn't really write that much stuff down. I thought the barbarian lady was pretty cool. Every fight scene with her is like, I'm not going off my notes at this point, by the way, I just want to talk about characters for a bit, is like really badass. I wanted more of that actually. And she carries around this axe, and then I like how she's supposed to be this like very tough character and stuff and whatever, and then you see the stuff she's dealing with where she like left her like tribe to be with this outsider guy, I think was how it was framed, and then he didn't want to be with her because she kept feeling bad for like leaving her family, and then she couldn't go back to her family, and it's like a circle. And I don't know, I guess it's supposed to be the expectation of like she's badass and cool, so you think she's dating someone badass and cool, and you meet him and he's like, is he supposed to be like a halfling or something? Actually, he's like comically small. It kind of reminded me with like, I don't know, like Lord of the Rings, how the hobbits are supposed to be small. I guess because I didn't know about that, like that effect at the time when I was little watching Lord of the Rings. I actually did think the actors were that short, and it wasn't like camera tricks or whatever. And then I saw how tall Elijah actually is, and I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, I was thinking about that. Anytime her like ex was on screen, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think it's just because it's easier to tell like more of a difference or something. Like he looks like small. It's not like with Lord of the Rings where they actually do look like short or whatever. But yeah, the guy she wasn't able to be with was like this really small guy. But then you hear him talk to her and stuff, and he sounds like he's like the nicest guy in the world. Like good for her, man. And then the lady he had hooked up with was also like a strong badass, so I'm like, okay, he is a type, and she is a type too. Oh yeah, no, her name's Holga, I think. She at the end of the movie, she sees a guy who's like a similar size, and she kind of like, we don't hear her say anything, but she gives him this kind of look, and I'm like, it's implied like, okay, she's like found a replacement guy basically. But anyway, she's pretty cool. I like that. Because Chris Pine's character Ed has this daughter named Kira, and it's this whole thing where he leaves his daughter behind and whatever. And I like that the way that Holga supposedly joined was just like she felt bad for the kid, not for him, and then ends up becoming like the girl's mom basically. And I thought that was cool, especially at the end where it's like she dies for plot reasons and gets brought back, and we see all these flashbacks of her like taking care of Kira. And I thought, yeah, where it's like that whole message of like you don't really know what you had until it's gone, where it's like Ed's trying to bring back his wife, but like his daughter never got to have her as a mother, and basically had like Helga as a mom instead and stuff. So he realizes like, okay, I'm being selfish. The one thing I didn't like with that whole bit with the endings, that's like supposed to be the big emotional thing, is I'm thinking like, but besides the whole message of like you have to let stuff go and whatever, I feel like the only reason she died was just so the main character would be forced to use the like tablet thing to bring Helga back. And even dying in the same way of like, oh, the red wizard's blade, it you can't get revived from that or whatever. I feel like she died just so the main character literally couldn't use the tablet. Well, it's more so of like he had to make that choice of like not just letting his wife go, but like actively choosing someone else. And so I did feel that's what made it feel kind of cheap. Is like the I get what the emotional point of it was, but it was also like, okay, you just killed off this character. Just like we know she's gonna get brought back to life. Besides the fact that she's like a main character and stuff, so I feel like that also kind of makes it just mean like nothing. I get kind of annoyed when movies do that, where it's like, okay, we can't let the main character win as part of like the lesson you're supposed to learn, so we'll just screw something up at the last minute just for that, you know. It just, I don't know, hit me the wrong way. What else? The tiefling girl is pretty cool. I don't remember what her name is. I like how blunt she is. Like, not like sarcastic or mean or anything. She's just like very like blunt about things. It's kind of funny. Like, she doesn't really have a lot of dialogue either. She isn't like really emotional or anything. She just kind of wants to do her job and like pay back to the like people that took her in and stuff. And I like how the wizard dude is named Simon, and I only remember that because that's like a completely normal name compared to like more common compared to like everyone else in this movie, which I just find really funny. He's like trying to date her the entire movie or something, because he like had failed to court her because of his self-confidence. And it's always awkward when he brings it up, where I feel like, dude, she's not into it. And then at the end, he asks her again. He's like, oh, I know I failed the first time, but let me try again. And she's basically just like, yeah, sure. Like, she isn't excited about it or seeming like, fine or whatever. She's just like, yeah, okay. And he's so excited about it. And she's like, don't get too excited. And that was just, I don't know, funny to me. Like, it didn't feel earned or anything, but I guess it's supposed to be, because his whole thing in the movie is trying to earn back his confidence. I thought he was a cool character. Probably one of my favorites, surprisingly, because this whole thing is like, he's supposed to be like a cool wizard and everyone thinks he sucks or whatever. And he can do his job, but only when he's under like an extreme amount of like pressure, because his self-esteem is like that low. And it's like, yeah, me too, buddy. And his thing is like, he has to get this helmet to work, and he can't get it to work until the end, where he goes to this like time is paused or whatever, and he has to talk to this ancestor guy who's at one point just like, no, I refuse to let you do the thing. And then he's like, well, screw the family name, and punches his ancestor in the face. And then it morphs into himself, and it's supposed to be this thing of like, oh, okay, you were like, your low self-confidence and literally you is like getting in the way of you succeeding and whatever. But I like how it basically went down was just like he needed to punch his ancestor in the face to get the helmet to work. And then from there, their plan's able to continue. I actually started getting confused at that point, actually, as it was like they needed the helmet to like turn off the magic to get into a vault, but they already had found out like the vault, or they do find out that the vault was empty anyway, and the treasure is like somewhere else, and they spend like a good chunk of the movie just trying to get that helmet. Like, I get it's supposed to be this whole thing, like everything for this party that can go wrong goes wrong until like the end, but I don't know. I mean, some of those segments were cool. Like, they go on this There's a lot of cool visuals for this movie. Actually, I want to talk about that. I felt like the tiefling girl was kind of underused because she has the ability to like shapeshift into animals, and I thought, damn, why aren't they using that more? But I guess it's probably CGI thing. The CGI stuff for like her turning into animals is really cool. I feel like okay, maybe that's why they're not like letting her do her thing a lot of the time. Like there's one point where, for plot reasons, she has like a magic turn off bracelet or whatever that I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Like they can't just wiggle their way out of this and stuff, but I don't know, I feel like it could have been used more. But I like for budget reasons I get why. But there's a her big like sequence is at the beginning when she like sneaks into something and then she has to escape out of this castle and we see her POV, so or not directly out of her eyes but like right behind her and stuff as all these different animals, and it was so smooth, it was so cool. That easily made up for like anything else for her in this movie. What else? Occasionally the characters do get to sing. I don't know if Chris Pine usually sings. He sounded like actually no, now I have to bring up the movie Wish. Damn it. He sings in this just a little bit when he plays the lute. Not like his voice is amazing, but I'm like, okay, pretty good, you know. He's like singing these little songs. One part he sings with Holga is kind of nice, where it's like right after she finds out her ex is like with someone else, and he's trying to cheer her up. And then when she's dying, they also sing a little song. And it's kind of nice. Feels cool. But then I think about Wish, and I get sad because as I was watching this, I thought, huh, yeah, he should sing more. And then I remembered like I mean, I think Wish came. I don't know which one came out first, this movie or Wish. I'm not trying to like monkey's paw this or anything, because like at the time I'm watching this, both movies have already like come out and been on streaming for a while. And I thought like, oh yeah, he should sing more. And then I remembered Wish, where he does get to sing more, and he gets a villain song, and he plays the villain, and I'm like, cool, but it gets voiced animated character again. But it's like his singing kind of sucks in that movie. The songs aren't good. It's another movie I could complain about. It makes me sad thinking about it, so I try to pretend that Wish doesn't exist. Especially because the fans do like so much better stuff. Anyway, there's a part, the whole journey where they go to get the magic helmet, I think is my favorite. There's this guy with a sword. He's like the one in the armor and stuff, who I thought he was like their fifth party member or something, because he's on all the posters and stuff, but he's only in the movie for like 10-15 minutes. He's like their temporary companion, which I get it. I know that's like a D&D thing. That's cool, and he works well for that. I wouldn't want him in the regular party because he's kind of annoying. Like, he's introduced as this guy like the main character doesn't trust for like plot reasons, and everyone else thinks he's cool. Not like they're like won over by him or anything, but like the main character thinks he's constantly gonna like mess stuff or like betray them or whatever, and he turned out to be fine. He's like a nice dude, but like he's one of those characters that's like such a good person, it gets kind of annoying or whatever, and like and it makes the dynamic between him and the main character kind of funny, where like Chris Pine's character is like actively saying to his face how annoying this guy is, and he doesn't care. He kind of smirks at it sometimes and finds it funny. So I don't know, I liked that dynamic. I liked that he really was just a good guy, but like the kind of guy where he's so good it's like irritating. Like there's a part when they're trying to get the helmet, they're like sneaking through this area, they end up fighting a dragon. It's one of my favorite parts. It feels like the big thing of the movie, huh? There's these brain creatures coming, and he says like, oh, you gotta step behind this wall, they're drawn to mental energy. And the brain creature, they're literally just brains with legs, it's so goofy, walks past them, implying I thought it was gonna be like, oh, maybe they walk past the protagonist, but they like nudge one of the companions or so. Like, I thought the tiefling girl seemed like she has a good head on her shoulders, like seemed kind of smart, but no, the brains walk past the entire party, implying everyone is stupid. And they're not the like chaotic group of misfits where they all like share one brain cell type of thing, but I don't know that. And then Ed's just like, oh, that hurt or whatever. Like, I don't know, just the comedic timing of that whole bit was like the funniest thing to me in this movie. Oh, the humor, that's another thing. I was like worried. Like they do kind of do the like the Marvel quips of like that just happened, you know, that type of stuff. Just it's there. But it's like the teeniest amount of it, and not to the like annoyance of those kind of quips. Like the main character is very quippy, but it's not like throughout a ton of the movie. It's never really like funny to me, but it's not as bad as I would have expected, and I really, really appreciate that. And sometimes there are stuff in the movie that is like funny, or like the comedic timing of things or whatever. So I will give the movie that. That's pretty cool. Oh, we didn't talk about the other character in the poster. Hugh Grant is in this movie. I've been watching a lot of his movies. In fact, I was going to do a review of one a while ago called 2 Weeks Notice that I really, really liked. Because he was in a lot of like rom-coms in the early 2000s. But I enjoyed it so much, I kind of just didn't want to talk about it. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes, especially it's like romance or rom-com movies, I feel like they can be hard to like talk about. I don't know. But I just watch them for fun. So I've been watching a lot of stuff with him lately. I don't see a lot of movies where he's like the villain too much, except for like, I'm trying to think, Paddington. Paddington's always a good series. I watched the one where he's like a religious guy who traps some people in like a maze, but it's actually not a maze, it's just like a dungeon or whatever. But it's like marketed as them being in a maze. I didn't like that one. But I liked him in it a lot. I think he's good as villains. He's sort of the villain in this one. Not like the main villain. He's... I don't want to say like a joke villain. Kind of... I don't know. It's kind of annoying at first because like... He's the one in the backstory who like betrayed the group and got them caught, and then they found out he betrays them, and they're like, oh, and he's like, I'm a con man, what do you expect? And it's like, yeah, he's a con man in a group of thieves, of course he's going to betray. Not like he's like, he looks like obviously evil or whatever, or like he's pretending to be nice and he's actually evil. I mean, he is kind of pretending to be nice and is actually mean. Well, he's only really doing that to like the daughter character that he sort of adopts for some reason. I still don't really get why he cares about her. He's like, oh, I looked at her and realized I have to be a better person. I want to be the father to her that she doesn't have or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like that was just kind of there just so like the main character couldn't like get to be with his daughter, like another like thing that gets in the way, because that's originally what he wants. Like besides the tablet to like magic bring back his wife, it was also to like reunite with his daughter. But Hugh Grant's cool as this character. I think his character's name's wait, no, I wrote it down somewhere. Give me a second, I'm like reading through my notes. Like Forge, I think. I'm not seeing it in here, but I like when he plays polite villains who never like raise their voice or anything. I was thinking back to the movie where it's like the two girls in the maze dungeon thing. I don't remember what it's called. I watched it on Hulu. It was a weird movie. He just talks the entire movie. He never really tries to like attack them until the end or anything. For most of the movie, he's just talking about stuff. He just has this way of speaking, not like his accent or anything, but like him personally, where he always just sounds very like calm and relaxed and makes me feel calm and relaxed. I like when he plays, I don't know, I like villains like that where they're like not all shouty or whatever, you know. I mean, that's fun too, but like where they're just like, they're like pretty chill, but they're still doing the evil things. I don't know. But yeah, he does fine. I'm glad he's in like so many movies and stuff. It's cool. What else? The part when they're in the wait, no, what else? Hold on, let me go back to the beginning of my notes. The brain thing, Simon getting the helmet to work is kind of cool. Excuse me. I wish the tiefling girl had more to do in the middle of the movie. Like Simon, towards the middle of the movie, kind of starts becoming more useful as he's like slowly believing himself, even before he gets the helmet to work. But like the tiefling girl isn't really given much until like, except for the beginning, and then when they get into the arena, and then she's able to do some cool stuff. But that's kind of like about it. I think she only has like 3 times the movie where she turns into animals. She does have this like slingshot wrist thing she sometimes uses, and that's cool, but I don't know, I wish she could do more action stuff. Getting a dragon an hour into the movie in a movie where it's literally called Dungeons and Dragons is cool. I like that you see the dragon at first and you think like, whoa, menacing, and then it's like super chubby, and that was kind of funny to me. I don't know. I don't know what I expected from the dragon, but it looked kind of funny. The line about I only portal what I see, and I thought, like, just like the Portal game. I know I've never talked about Portal on here, and it's suddenly like, why are you talking about Portal? I'm a really big Portal 2 fan, to the point where I literally decorated my graduation cap that I'm using to fucking graduate college tomorrow. It's sparkly, and it has a Portal quote on it. But on my old channel, I had a whole month where I was just doing Portal stuff. It was fun. But yeah, I don't know if I'll replay that again on here, probably. What else? They have this sort of like, not exactly the liar reveal trope where it's like you hide something throughout the whole movie and then it's revealed in the third act and they get into a fight and then everyone splits off. It's not quite that. It's more of like the main character lied to like 2 companions, but he wasn't like actively trying to keep up the lie or anything. It's more like I even forgot it happened until they brought it up and they were like, wait, you didn't tell us this? Our journey was for nothing or whatever? And I'm like, oh yeah. Anyway, that part happened, and I like how normally with that kind of stuff, it's like the main character, I don't know, like gives up or whatever. It's like, okay, the journey's like useless and the party members have to cheer them up. And like here, it's kind of reverse where like Ed isn't even upset of like the helmet thing isn't working and there's no like plan B. He's like smiling the whole time. He's saying like how everyone else is a failure and he's a failure. I like the dialogue and just the whole scene made me think he's gonna like I expected like, okay, you're gonna have a breakdown about like how you lost your family and like emotional like we can't give up or whatever. But he just sounds happy the whole time. He's like smiling and like the team wants to go home and he doesn't. He's like, no, I'm gonna just sit. It's not even like he gains a determination. He's just like, no, I'm just gonna sit here and I'm gonna think of another plan or whatever. Like, good for him. I thought that was nice. It just, I don't know, made the scene easier. His unwavering support of Simon is also cool. Like, it's half like, okay, he needs him to succeed to get through like the plan or whatever, but also like he is kind of the only one that believes in him, and then it like kind of pays off at the end. I thought the distraction part would be funnier and stupid because, you know, it's like it's D&D, but or like I would have assumed it was something ridiculous that works out of dumb luck. That would have been the only time it would have been okay with like a distraction scene like that, where it's like we gotta cause a distraction, they do something stupid. But here it just, I don't know, it was kind of not what I expected. The way that they get out of the arena thing, I like that they actually do have to go through the arena. Like, it's like a background event that's happening and then they have to join in. And the way they get out is kind of cool. There's this like hot goo and the tiefling turns into a snake and like slithers out of the goo and then gets everyone out. That was cool. The way they beat Forge is they throw a potato at his face and then they summon the ocean. He gets swallowed up by the ocean, but that was pretty cool. It's in slow-mo too. And then they have the thing where they like just barely, they like get away and they get cured and everything's fine, and then right as that happens, like the actual villain shows up and like starts, I mean, not shows up, she was there the whole time, but like she succeeds with the things she's doing and they're just like, damn, I guess we gotta go back. And then they have a magic fight with her, which I thought was gonna be more cool, but it's literally like the villain and Simon are basically just arm wrestling with like giant hands made out of like weird gross flesh and rocks, and I'm like, oh, thought you were gonna have like a cool ass wizard battle, but alright. And then the way they beat her, besides some like magic bullshittery or whatever, is the owl bear. I think the owl, like, being able to turn into like any animal and you just decide like, no, owl bear or whatever, I'm like, alright. And yeeting the villain through a wall as a giant bear is pretty cool, honestly. What else? And then I thought the credits art was pretty cool. It's like in this like the style of medieval margin art, and then it also looks like these paper cutouts. It's one of those. It's like the typical credits of like these kind of movies where it's like they were retelling your entire adventure, but in a different art style or in an art style in like the credits or whatever. But the fact they do it is like the medieval margin art specifically, I think I've just had that on the brain where it's like they even have like the gold foil for parts of it too. I took a medieval art history class like a couple semesters ago, so it even though the class was super early in the morning and I can't tell you like facts or anything, I remember some of the style of at least some of the art, so it's always nice to see. And I feel like that fit pretty well with this because it is like they're going on an adventure and stuff. They got dungeon. Is there dungeons in this movie? I mean, I know it's called Dungeons and Dragons. They had the dragon. Did they have the dungeon? I mean, technically at the beginning, well, it was like jail, and then they go out of a window, even though they get pardoned, and they're still hunted down as criminals or something. I actually like that they didn't have to like escape out of jail like a lot of these do. It's kind of like a thing at the beginning. They were able to leave anyway. And that's the excuse of like how we learn the main character's backstory, and then the villain tries to do the same thing and the wall's bricked up and they catch him. And that would have been funny if that happened to the protagonists actually, but then they were literally pardoned and allowed to leave. But yeah, that's the whole movie. It was pretty cool. I'm glad I watched. I was always gonna watch it at some point because I heard it was good. I'm glad it was good, or I mean I at least liked it, I was worried, like I said, it was gonna be like kind of dumb humor or whatever. Not like this is gonna be like the thing that gets me into D&D, but it just kind of made me appreciate it a little more. I think this is just, I don't know, I think movies are always just kind of an easier format for me with stuff, because then it's like, it's visuals on a screen and you can follow through in like 2 hours. But yeah, it was nice. It was like, okay, I got to experience a little D&D adventure, even though I'm not like the person role playing, which I know there's other like mediums and stuff for, like people like record their playthroughs and stuff, or there's like these animations my brother sometimes sends me, but I don't know. But this was cool. Yeah, I can't think of anything else to talk about. I don't know what movie I'm gonna watch next. I actually need to go shower right now. I was thinking of watching Pink Floyd's The Wall. I've been thinking about that the past couple days. I've heard it's weird. I know it's animated, so I'm gonna check that out. I don't know what else I'm gonna watch. I've kind of just been going through movies on Netflix, actually, so there might be some of that, too. We'll see. I think I'm just gonna make more of these, because I'm playing Pikmin 2 right now. I finished Pikmin 1. Spoilers in that. I don't know. And I put this gap between Pikmin and Pikmin 2 of like, I don't know, a couple, like 15 days or whatever, I don't remember, and I thought it would be nice if, I've been wanting to watch more movies anyway, and I need to take breaks from Pikmin every once in a while. It also kind of hurts my brain and I get frustrated. I might just fill that up with movies, just different movie reviews. I need this space for movies anyway, so that might be what I do. I don't know what I'll watch. Yeah, probably The Wall. Maybe I'll watch some shows too. I went to a Doctor Who exhibit a while ago, and it made me want to rewatch Doctor Who, and I'm making a list for my friend. Not like you're gonna get a review of every single Doctor Who episode, because I'm not doing that, but I'm gonna rewatch some I'm considering recommending to a friend, and maybe I'll talk about those too. I don't know. We'll see. Alright, thanks for listening. Bye bye.